Middle of the Pack podcast.
Again, a mistake of, learning on your mistakes. And I knew this. I knew this, that you're not supposed to change anything on the day of the run. I knew that,
And you did.
And
Welcome to episode 40 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. And that's our guest there, Victor Danylyuk. And he's talking about a mistake that lots of people make on the morning of a marathon, on the day of a marathon, that he's learned from, and hopefully we will learn from as we talk about the build up to the Cork City Marathon. But obviously we're also going to talk about his running journey, his sporting journey, and all that he has learned, and as I said, all that we can learn from him too as a middle of the pack runner. So this is episode 40 featuring Victor Danylyuk, and here we go, where we've just asked Victor about when he started his running journey. As I said, welcome to episode 40 of the Middle of the Pack podcast.
I started running and in 2018, 2018, so, and it just I kept on building, like speed somehow. And I just, I'm not a runner. I did a lot of swimming, especially open water swimming. And I decided to, in 2018, I decided to swim the channel, English channel.
Yeah.
And I started training for it. And I developed. So I started training for it, and a bit of running. And my coach, Philip Keane, back then, he told me, if you want to swim faster, you have to start running. You have to build in a bit of running into your swimming. But I started swimming in Mayfield, and I developed this sports-induced asthma, untreatable. And I spent so much time in hospitals and trying to figure it out, what's wrong with me. I was practically out of breath, But I think still, until this day, I was going to consultant, paying €150 per session.
And was it the
He did
chlorine?
not tell me what it was. Chlorine. It was simple poisoning. I don't understand how it is, but as soon as I stopped going to Mayfield, the swimming pool, and I kind of went back to running a bit more and swimming in Myrtleville in open water, I started noticing that I was cleansing myself out of that poison, So, but it did some damage. Clearly, it did some damage. I spent a year on some inhalers, and so I didn't swim the channel. It didn't happen. But I ended up, kind of running more and more because I noticed it does help. It did help me actually swim better. Now, without any training, I go to UL. We do this every Christmas. We go to UL and do a marathon swim, which is a 10K in a pool, and no inhalers, and no real training. I just go and just do it, So it is. So this physique which you can develop in running, it is transferable into swimming.
Okay.
So it did help. It did help for sure. So my coach Philip Keane was cracked.
And tell me, is swimming still your number one, or are you now just running most of the time?
Well, I did. Going back to my youth, I did not like running. I don't want to say I hated running, but I did not like running. I am a 105 kilo man, and it's just I'm not a runner. I don't look like a runner. But it does, and then COVID hit clearly, So I live in Bishopstown, and to get to Myrtleville, I wasn't allowed. So I kind of went more and more into running. But it is for now. Yes, it is my number one because I just ran Paris Marathon. I am preparing for Cork Marathon, and I have a ticket to go to Dublin Marathon this year. So this year I am planning to do three of them. Last year I did two. I did Cork and I did Gap of Dunlaw. So like Hardman, I did Hardman.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is becoming enjoyable. If I am to be, I don't really like talking about this, but it is kind of enjoyable at the moment. But I do want to go back to swimming. But to be honest, now I'm thinking I can swim and I can definitely do a run. No, I mean I still have problems with my running, clearly, which I'd like to which I want to tell you later about. But now I am thinking maybe I'll do an Ironman at some stage. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be okay with swimming and I'll be okay with the running, and it just sitting on a bike for 180K. I
Well,
mean,
you still have to put the 105 kilo man on top of a bike then.
I did a cycle last year. I forgot the name of it, but I'm going to do 120K this year again. So it is, once you get the carbon bike under you, once you get the proper saddle, you know, carbon wheels, you can get to 115 easy.
Yeah.
It just that the extra 30, 40, last 30, 40K, that would be a struggle on your arms, on your neck.
Yeah.
So it is, and you will be wishing for this to end and you actually start running, because
Yeah.
it's not as easy to sit on a bike for like 6 hours. But look, it's not a number one. I mean, I really I really enjoy swimming. I really enjoy swimming. I mean, it's just something about swimming. It's I like diving. It's like scuba diving. I like water. I really enjoy swimming, and not swimming actually. I mean, I am a huge soccer player myself, football player myself, used to be. But I developed, these protrusions in your lower spine, in your lower back.
Okay.
And my GP, Dr. Boland, said like 20 years ago, and I'm in Ireland like 25 years. So my GP told me, your football days are over. Find another sports for yourself. And he actually recommended swimming.
Yeah.
And I started going to Myrtleville, I don't know, in 2005 or something, you know? So it is, and the swimming actually fixed my back, it seems, because I am able to run a marathon without any problems, So, uh, so I do think that all of this active kind of lifestyle does fix you back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah.
It definitely helps because, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, even with bone density and all those sort of things, people are told to run and keep that sort of thing up. But you've done the Paris Marathon and now you're doing the Cork Marathon.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
where are you at with your training so far? How's that going?
Well, honestly, I mean, this I used to like. It's not the first one. I did like 7 marathons by now. I did one in Nice. I did a few in Cork. I did Dingle as well. And so I traveled a bit to and I did a few runs. And I used to follow very simple training program. Heel Gin Don or something. I just Googled it and it was just simple
Okay.
program, just mileage every week and increase by 10%, things like that. But since I hired the coach last year, he totally changed the whole approach. Like,
And
he introduced all of this. Sorry,
he's a
what?
running coach, is he?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, running coach. He introduced all this, interval training, these pyramids and I just noticed this is the same way I used to train when I was swimming,
Yeah.
all different, all different methodologies. And I wasn't doing that at all. I wasn't I wasn't training like that at all. I was just slowly increasing my mileage every week, every second week, and it wasn't getting it didn't get me anywhere, you know. But
Yeah.
now I was looking at my stats and all this interval training, all this different methodology, it did increase my what CO2 marks,
Yeah.
it
VO2.
slowed down my VO2. It slowed down. It has slowed down my heart rate. Now I can easily do a session in 5.5 kilometers, 5.5 minutes per kilometer on average, and feel feel great, So I don't follow that program anymore. I just did the I just I continue I continue to run twice a week, right, on a truck, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I have another group we run in Marina Park, and we do like 20K. Well, we've been increasing steadily.
Yeah.
Lads are running half a marathon in Cork, and I'm doing full. So they're increasing slowly from 12 to 14 to 16. Now we're doing 18, but I'm doing 20.
Yeah.
So I do run only 3 times a week, maybe occasional. I do want to introduce now for the next couple of weeks. I do want to introduce a few morning runs because Cork is going to be in the morning,
Yeah.
and and I noticed that I run much better if I start running later in a day. It helps me to put some food in, and do your calls of nature stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
And because I started Paris at 12 o'clock in a day,
Midday.
I had a good night's sleep. I was able to lie in a bed until 8 o'clock in the morning. So now in Cork, I think I have to start, running a few morning runs. So this is my program, but I am increasing distance constantly, and on Saturdays, or Sundays or whatever it is. I might after a long session on Saturday, like long session, like 2 hours. I try not to, and maybe 2.5 hours. I try not to do anymore because the good book, Jack Daniels' book tells that you're not supposed to be running more than 2.5 hours anyway. So whatever you do in 2.5 hours, you should consider that as your training. But
Yeah.
look, that's so my knowledge was none. I had no knowledge, but since I started, it's like how I hired a coach. I only hired him for a few months, and then I joined the club. I think I started to see that much more. I started enjoying running more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And tell
and
me how,
at the end of the marathon, I feel much better, much easier.
and how,
Which
and how did you fuel yourself for the last marathon?
Well, when I was again a mistake, learning on your mistakes, and I knew this. I knew this, that you're not supposed to change anything on the day of the run. I knew that,
And you
and
did?
last year running Cork Marathon, I was training myself with high fives, and I went to collect my bib, and I'm looking at this SIS, gels, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking at it, and it says 40 grams of carbs, and these high fives they have like 20 or 16 or something, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was doing it wrong. So on a day before I bought SIS, man, it did a number on my stomach. I actually was running half of the marathon crooked. I had to throw them away and go back to high fives halfway. Luckily, my wife and my mother were waiting for me with gels. But then I started training with those heavy SISs, 40 grams of gels, and I went to do gap of Dunlow with them, and I used 8 gels over the whole period.
And
And I
how long, when you say over the whole period, how long were you running
uh,
for?
well, I did gap of Illinois like 5.5 hours. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not used to those 700 meters elevation runs. Like, so I took my time. Like, And it's not like you're running in Cork City. You A few times I was on my own in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere, so I just I needed to take it as slow as possible. So I used those 8, and it did work. I used a few salt tablets, and I had no cramps. And that was like what, 700-800 meters elevation, which I never done. And I came back and I felt full of energy, and I could have run more.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to Paris, I also I bought SISs, but I bought different ones, 20 20 grams of carbs, and I used only 6, and I hit the wall at 30K,
Yeah.
and it took me about 2 miles to find out my limits, and I noticed that so and I noticed that about 151, if I stay for like 10 minutes, I start fainting, so I practically was dehydrated severely. So my my fueling was not enough, it seemed. I didn't take enough water because they don't have bottles. You have to carry your own bottle,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it takes 20-30 seconds to fill up your bottle. Then I used to put an electrolyte tablet in it and run, and then I had to stop, so I lost like a minute on each water intake. So now I just I just got delivery of 60 heavy SISs, and what I noticed, and what I'm doing like a week, uh, like 2 weeks before the marathon, you know, I start breakfast with them. I start having my breakfast with them. Like every morning I would have some some banana bread, some porridge bread, and maybe a gel, and
Okay.
get your stomach used to it. And before every run, like on Saturdays now, I will be having them very, very, every time, and it
Yeah.
just to get used to them. I mean,
That
that's
that is the right thing to do. I mean, from I didn't run as many marathons as you have, but I
Mhm.
know that from training training with fuel is definitely part of your training. So if you're going out running for an hour, I wouldn't do it normally, but in training for a marathon, I would bring a gel with me, and after half an hour, take a gel. And if I was running for 2 hours, I'd bring 3 gels with me. And and you just training. You're training your feet, you're training your heart, you're training your stomach, you're training everything. With
every, yeah.
yeah. And I use a drinks mix as well. It's Alter Nutrition, but so that would have the equivalent of 2 gels. It's like 60 grams. So that helps with hydration as well. But again, you need to,
Well, maybe you might maybe send me the link to this to these drinks. But you see, this is now me changing my tactic again
yeah,
before the run.
yeah.
So I don't
Well,
know if I
well,
should.
well, you probably have time, but I know on previous episodes, the guy from Alter Nutrition was on, the guy from Precision Fuel were on, and everybody talks that you train and you definitely don't change on race day.
Yeah.
So, but you probably still have time to try and mix it up a little bit. So stick with the SIS and maybe try a drinks mix as well, because you're taking on drink, you are hydrating yourself as well, and some of them have a little bit of salt and electrolytes in them as well. So it does help. But fueling is a big part of it, and it also helps keeping you from hitting the wall. It helps you from, keeping your times and keeping your concentration. So it is really important. And do you have your shoe sorted? Do you know what you're wearing? And
Isaacs, those, what is it, 2000, 20,000 or 1,200 something. Isaacs, I really like Mizuno shoes,
okay,
but
yeah,
like when you get used to one particular model, Wave Rider,
yeah,
and I just like I don't see them anymore. They kind of there are Wave Riders, but not that number, and I just don't feel. They're all the same shoes, like, but I just so only this so this last year I bought my first pair of Isaacs, but before that I was using only Mizuno. I mean I really like Mizuno
I know
shoes more than Isaacs, to be honest.
the Edge Sport in Cork definitely
Yes, yes,
they sell
I
Mizuno.
was I was there today, to be honest. And I just again chaffing big thing for me as well. So I bought some clothes for myself and a few pair of socks, and I was trying them out today just to get a feel. So I'm going to be training with them, you know, uh, because 1 year, my God, I was bleeding. I was bleeding here, and
Yeah, yeah,
again, I was training with totally different t-shirt, and on a night on a day of the run, I changed my t-shirt, and it just destroyed my body. Like I had to take it out, but it was the 2024 was a bad year anyway. It was
yeah,
so hot. It was so hot. It was extremely bad run. But what I really am suffering from, what I think, I mean, I sweat a lot. I I mean more than because there is a lot of you know um, insulation
yeah,
I need for that I need for an open water swim. You know,
yeah,
so there is a lot of it, and it comes out of me. I can lose up to 4 5 kilos of weight on a marathon day, which is not which sounds like a lot, but if you're losing it from 105, for example, from 107, it's not that bad. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
there was again, I read it in a book that I am within, I'm kind of like at the top of the tolerance. But I think what it does to me, it just flushes out all the liquid out of me, and yeah, and I mean, I collapsed. Not collapsed. I mean, almost collapsed on my run on my last run in Paris.
Yeah.
I didn't even. I had to walk across the finish line because I was going out, and I just as I was blurring, and I saw the fence, and I just walked across, and I grabbed the fence, and my body started like shaking for a couple of minutes, and then I was brand new again. You
Are
know,
are you
so
a salty sweater? Do you have a residue on your skin when you're finished?
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
would. Yeah, I mean, you mean like white when it
yeah,
dries
yeah.
out, it would be white. Yeah,
So
it
you're a
would be.
salty
Yeah,
sweater. So you need to be taking on salt as well then. A lot of
but
salt.
a lot. But I think I had like only 3 salt tablets. But you see, when I was running Paris Marathon, and Gap of the Law, I had no cramps. Like because when you're losing salt, the first sign that you out of salt would be cramps. You would
Yeah.
be cramping up like mad. That's exactly what happened to me in Dingle. I was running like a robot at the end. I couldn't even bend my knees. It was like both legs were cramped up.
Okay.
But this time around, I did not. There were no cramps. Legs were actually fine. You know. So, but I did take only 2 or 3, maybe 3 tablets in total. So this time around, maybe I will do more.
Yeah, yeah.
I will do more. Like, would it be like how often? Like, if I would be taking a gel every half an hour, for example, should I take a tablet as well?
Uh,
Uh,
I think well, I know you can do a test to test your salt levels, and I did one, but I was a low sweater, and I was told to take two for the whole marathon. So I would say if you're
oh,
heavier, that you probably should be taking more than two, because I'm a low salt. I have a low salt in my sweat, so I was advised to take two. So I'd say if you're a heavy sweater, you should take more. But you can go on to Precision, they supply gels and fuel, and this is for everyone that's listening. You can go onto their website and you can actually book an appointment and speak to people, but you can also do a kind of a test, online, and they will give you an advice. So if you say you're a heavy salty sweater, I'll send you the link. I'll put the link on the notes of the episode as well, because yeah, But I would say you definitely would need to take more salt tablets than you have been taking. Just to replace what you've been losing. You may not cramp up, but it'll probably help you with everything as well, you know. So there's a couple of
It's
things.
that, is it wall? Yeah,
Yeah.
wall probably.
So I'll send you information on and I'll put the episodes on the notes as well on alter nutrition for drinks, so that'll hydrate more. uh, The precision link for just to do a salt as to do a test online and see what they're at, and
Mm.
maybe get some advice. But you can speak to a person as well, and they'll give you advice on fueling and on salt tablets and on electrolytes and all that sort of thing. So that's a handy website to have as well.
All right, thank you. Will
But
do.
it's one of these things that what time are you hoping to do in Cork now?
Well, look, I was until 30th kilometer. I was about to achieve 4:10 in Paris,
Yeah, very
and
good.
then something hit me with a sledgehammer in the head, and I was just like, okay, maybe 4.5. So I did 4:37. So if I break 4.5 hours in Cork, but honestly, if it's going to be a hot day, there is no way I'm gonna break 4.5 hours. I mean, unless I fix the salt thing,
Yeah, yeah.
So if that is fixed, maybe I'll be able to, because I am capable of sustaining a run for 42K. But all these things, sometimes they just like. I think this severe dehydration is just, and I do listen to my body. I mean, I'm looking at my watch, and I'm trying to see if my vision is getting blurry, or something else is happening. I mean, it's not like I'm breaking 2 hours here. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just doing this for I'm just doing it for fun, and I'm just doing it for with a group of people, and I'm doing it for charity. As well. So it's just I need to finish, I need
Yeah,
to I need to be able to finish. So 4.5 hours would be my thing. But if I do 4:15, that would be a huge achievement for me. I you know I do want to break 4 hours, clearly. But
yeah.
I don't think I'm capable of doing this, which is a really bad thing to admit. And
I'd say by the sounds of it, I'd say if you get your fueling and your salt and your hydration right, you eventually will. But I would say if you're doing Cork and Dublin, to really train on the build up to Cork and train at Cork using the strategy, and then when you get to Dublin, you'll even you'll probably see an improvement from Paris to Cork and then Cork to Dublin, because you definitely seem to be on the right track when it comes to knowing what your body is telling you, and don't change your fuels on the day of the race.
yeah, it's just one of those things, because I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not a runner, I'm not a sportsman, and it was always this reluctance to hire somebody, to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And you should find somebody and to give you advice, because just waste time and energy. And
It definitely sounds like that you're on the right track. It's definitely, when you say you're not a runner, you're definitely a runner, but you may not be elite runner, but you're definitely a runner, and you definitely have it in you. So I look forward to finding out how you get on in Cork. And listen, Victor, thanks very much for your time.
thanks, Patrick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick, for inviting me. All right.
And that was Victor Danylyuk, our guest on episode 40 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. Do hope you enjoyed that episode and you learned something from it. I know I certainly did. Check out the voice notes for all the information that we said we would link. But my thanks again to Victor for joining us. And I do hope you've enjoyed episode 40 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. Thanks for listening and keep on running.